So I have decade long of experience in SAP and as well in the IT industry. And during this short duration, I have worked on several support projects, implementation, and rollouts and upgrade. These are the different projects I have been working. So yeah, and I'm being part of Oswego Learning for quite some time. And as it was earlier mentioned, Oswego Learning is one of the leading institute right now in Eastern India, wherein we provide training and consultancy regarding different modules and different aspects of SAP. We provide consultancy regarding to SAP projects and SAP on-the-job issues. So that's how we have been working. So, welcome everyone. And today's agenda, what we are going to discuss for the coming 50 minutes or 1 hour, we are going to discuss on these few topics. Like we will be going through what a brief introduction about Oswego learning, and then we will have a quick introduction about ERP and SAP. Then I will walk you through SAP FI module as well as SAP CO module. Then we will have a quick discussion about course curriculum, and the last one will be what advantages you are going to get from our institute Oswego. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. So Oswego Learning is a sister concern of PRD Consulting. It's an LLP, and Periday Consulting has been working in the areas of SAP, machine learning, AI, data science, and whatnot. And it's a very old organization which has been working in these areas and has quite a lot of experience and expertise in these areas. Initially, Oswego Learning was promoted by a group of IT professionals whose collective experience of all those people will be now more than 60 years altogether, and they come from wide area of experience. They come from SAP project management. They come from areas like different modules. They are functional consultants. They are technical consultants who have wide lot of experience in these areas. And then in Oswego Learning, we have faculty members who are experts in their own indigenous fields. Like some, you will find functional consultants who are. When I say functional consultants, that means they have been working in the SAP functional areas like SAP FICO. They are working in SAP P2P, that is procure to pay, SAP O2C or order to cash, or traditionally we used to call it as SAP SD module. So the faculty members are from different areas, and we have been providing this training content and training course on all these aspects like P2P, O2C, FICO. You have PP as well as PAP training. Our course structure is somewhat both. It's a you can say both offline and online classes are available. So during this pandemic, we have been delivering only online classes as of now, and it's going quite well, pretty well. The students and the participants are accepting the online classes very well because with the comfort of your home, you can get the classes delivered to your just you can sit in your bedroom and get started with your learning. Earlier, one has to travel to the institute, go through the all the traffics, and then go reach the institute. There, the classes used to happen, then come back. So it used to take around, for 3 hours of classes, the student had to spend 5 hours. But now, since we are providing online training, so within 3 hours, you will attend your 3 hours class. You don't have to waste your time. You can be at the comfort of your home. So both online and offline mode is available, but offline is not right now. It's not working because of this pandemic. We have very soon we are going to start it with this, maybe in this new year. Once the guidelines are there, then we will start the offline as well, means that the classroom classes. And the last important benefit to all of our students, which is provided by Oswego Learning, is the placement assistance. So we have a placement team who when I say placement team, they are some of the past students, and our placement team is also there, those who work continuously in engaging themselves with the different companies and for the placement of the students who get trained from our institute. So that's the special benefit that the participants and the students will get from Oswego Learning. Okay, moving ahead. Now, let's talk about what is ERP and ERP products. So the main focus of today was SAP FICO. So let's first understand what is SAP. Basically, SAP is an ERP. When I say ERP, it means Enterprise Resource Planning. And traditionally, you all might have heard of the word, like in the Indian context. If I say the most famous ERP was Tally. Okay, so when you might be studying your accountancy or when you might be in your graduation, you might have seen Tally softwares everywhere in all the organizations. Tally was there, but Tally was something limited. It did not have integration facilities. But SAP is another ERP which is quite integrated. When I say integrated, that means it is connected. Now let's take this example. Let's say the customer came for any business, the customers are there. So the customer came and asked for a product, and the company was, took the order from the customer. Now, in traditional part, what used to happen is the customer will order the product. The person who took the order will see whether that particular product is available in the warehouse or not. If it's not available, then he or she will ask the production team to start manufacturing that product. Once the manufacturing happens, it may take some around 5 or 10 days for a particular product to get manufactured. And then once the product gets manufactured, the warehouse team or the production team will inform the sales team that the product is ready. You can contact the customer. In the meanwhile, the customer might have contacted some other company, and he might have placed his order, and in fact, he might have got his order delivered. Now, with the introduction of SAP or with the introduction of ERP, I must say, what happened? Things became integrated. Now, the moment the customer ordered the particular product, the person who took the order will immediately get the information from the warehouse team or from the inventory team that yes, the product is available or not. If it is not available, immediately production order will be triggered to the production team. They will start manufacturing the product based on all the requirement planning, the purchasing of raw materials, and all these things. All these things will happen in a coordinated manner, or I can say in an integrated manner. Means the order was placed by the customer, and from there itself, the information started flowing to different respective modules. Now, how does this happen? This happens because of the integration or because of the connection. And to maintain this connection, you need a holistic approach, and that holistic approach is provided by ERP. And one of the most famous ERP as of today is SAP. I must tell you, SAP is the leading ERP as of today. There is no competitors to SAP right now. There are competitors, but those competitors are limited to some individual modules. Like for example, you will find some of the softwares which are specialized in finance, some of these software which are specialized in HR. But SAP is being such a ERP which has all these modules, and they are working tremendously well. So that's ERP is like one of the definitional part of ERP, as I say, is all the things at all the time and at to available to anyone. Means your men, machinery, materials, and money of the entire organization. The information for all these things is available at one single database, and it can be utilized by all the departments all at a time and by anyone at any time. That's the concept of ERP. You don't have to wait for the information to be made available to you. It will be available in the single database that can be used by you for any purpose. So that's how ERP works. Now coming on to SAP, what is there extra in SAP as an ERP, which makes SAP as a market player, or you can say the market ruler. Right now, SAP is such a module which SAP is such an ERP which allows integration with all other modules, with all other ERP systems. Say for example, your company started using SAP. Okay, for SAP, you have to purchase the license, you have to purchase the software. Once you purchase the software, your software gets installed in your systems, and after having your organization structures and things like that created, you can start using your ERP, SAP system. Now, let's say your SAP system is there, and you are having your banks also, like you have banking transactions, you have bank accounts, and you do transactions in your bank accounts. Now, how the information from banks will be integrated in SAP. Suppose you got a check credit in your bank account. Now that information will come to SAP, and SAP itself, based on your settings and configurations, will process that transaction. That automatic processing of transaction facility is available. So that's how this module is integrated. Now you have your HR. Let's say your company is having you might have heard this word in YouTube or in different televisions right now. This advertisement is going on with Akshay Kumar. He is advertising about Pager, yeah, or you can say Pagar. That's an app which can be used for managing your HR, the payroll system. But in SAP, SAP has its own HR module, which can be used to tackle this entire HR related work. Same way, you have different individual softwares available in the market which deal with different segments. But SAP has answers to all these. SAP comes up whenever there is a requirement in business for a particular thing. SAP has a solution to that. So SAP is such a thing which, I really personally don't see any competitor coming up within the next 20-25 years. There are no competitors. In fact, SAP has this right now has this tendency that whichever product or whichever ERP product is making movement in the market, means they are having a huge market share. SAP takes over them, or SAP brings them into its own umbrella, and then the other modules of SAP gets it creates a platform where other modules gets integrated with them. So that's how SAP creates an entire you can say a platform where all the business requirements can be met. You talk about HR payroll, you talk about P2P, you talk about OTC, you talk about finance, you talk about production planning, you talk about anything, any business requirement that can be met with the SAP software, or SAP as an ERP, it can be met. So here, if you see on this screen, these are the different ERP modules which are available, but they all are far behind SAP. Like Oracle applications is there, JD Edwards is there, Workday for HR is there, Infor is there, Microsoft Dynamics, BAN, etc. All these different software ERP softwares are there, which are in which are competitors of SAP, but only for single individual modules. But SAP as a whole term, as a holistic module, can be turned as a holistic ERP is one single player. There is no one who provides all the modules under one single ERP. So that's why SAP is the market ruler. Next. So when we have heard this word SAP for quite some time, what does this word SAP stands for? SAP stands for System, Application, and Products in Data Processing. Okay, that's the full form, or so that's the whole definition of SAP: System, Application, and Products in Data Processing. It was founded in 1972 by some 5 IBM employees. They found they made this ERP software, SAP as an ERP software, and from there, means from 1972, it slowly and steadily, eventually it progressed, and now it has become such a huge ERP package. Okay, and it is in fact, it is not the third largest, it is in fact the second largest company, software company right now, which provides ERP solutions, which provides planning solutions to the different business. And here we have listed down some of the statistics. If you go to 92% of the Forbes global company 2000 companies, they use ERP. 98% of the 100 most valuable brands, they use software, SAP ERP. 97% of the greenest companies, means SAP is itself a very green company. They don't believe in carbon limitation, and these are just statistics to create an image of the company, but that's true. SAP is a leading player right now. Okay, so what's the benefit of using this SAP? Now, when I say benefit of using this SAP for a business is quite wholesome. The business gets all its information requirements, all its decision-making requirements in one single package, that is SAP. It can, tackle its all the business functionalities like HR, payroll, your procure to pay, your order to cash, your FI financials, your cost controlling. All these things are taken care in one single SAP software. So that's the benefit to the business. Now, why I am talking this with you? The reason is, let's talk about here. Why we are talking about this as a this thing. So I'm skipping some of the slides in between. I will touch base on these slides, but let's first understand why are we talking about this. So why are we talking about this is, as like this webinar will help those participants to understand what career prospects or what career advantage they have in SAP. So when I say SAP being one of the king or one of the ruler in the software market, it gives us immense opportunity as to work in this field. You can work as a consultant, you can work as an end user, you can work as a super user in SAP. But for working that, you need to understand this SAP system as a whole. You need to, get yourself trained, you need to get yourself prepared, or you need to get yourself knowledged, or you need to get yourself educated for a particular module. Say if you're from a commerce background, you need to get yourself, the SAP FICO module is the best one for you. If you are, say, an engineer, then maybe like SAP production planning or SAP procure to pay, these can be best opportunity for you. If you're go to the market person, then SAP O2C, that is order to cash, can be the best module for you. So this way, I will take you to this topics, that why it is important for you to understand SAP and to use it. The first reason is, since most of the companies where you are going to work in your future, they are using SAP. So the need of the hour is you need to know SAP. Coming into the next part, what are the SAP conceptual areas? So conceptual areas, when I say, it means what are the different areas in which SAP is there. Like, I have used this word a lot of time, like SAP FICO, SAP P2P, O2C. These are different modules. When I say modules, they are actually different business functions. So every business has some functions, like, they will manufacture, so that is one function. They will sell those goods, so that is one. Sales and distribution is one function. So they will record their transactions, they will prepare their financial statements, so that means that is their finance department. So all these things are termed as their functions of the business, and based on the functions of the business, these application areas are designed. So if you see here, application area, initiate and execute SAP transactions. This is the place where, based on the business functions, the transactions are recorded, the actual business processes takes place. So all these, like SAP or O2C, order to cash, your entire sales cycle means starting from processing of quotations to posting of sales order. Then based on the sales order, the goods are delivered to the customers. Once the goods are delivered, the final billing is generated against the customer. So that entire sales cycle is taken care in the SAP O2C module. Similarly, the SAP P2P module, or the procure to pay, wherein the starting from purchase requisition means some of the department demands that I need this particular product. So they will raise a purchase requisition. Based on that purchase requisition, the purchase department will procure the material from the market, from different vendors. Once the goods are procured, then they will finally post invoice against that vendor. Means they will post a invoice for that particular vendor. So once this entire cycle is taken care by the different modules. And finally, in the SAP FICO, that is one of the core module, I can say, one of the core module, which is, why do I say core? Because without this module, no business can sustain. See, there can be business, those who don't manufacture product, they just buy the product from the market and sell it directly to the customer. Okay, there can be companies who manufacture the product use it for their captive consumption. So there will be a manufacturing department, but there won't be any sales department. But finance department will always be there. The finance department will be the one which will be responsible for recording of all the business transactions, for preparation of your financial statements, that is your profit and loss and balance sheet. That is mandatory. That is, as per the regulatory compliance. So finance department will always be there, and this finance department is taken care by SAP FICO module. So that's why I say SAP FICO module is one of the core module which cannot be absent in any company who is using SAP. They have to have this SAP FICO module. So this gives another point for us, that we have a wide scope of market open for us. For our job perspective, we have a wide scope of market open. So we now know that application area means the functional areas. Then there will be a technical basis area. Basis area means these are basically responsible for the infrastructure. Now SAP is a software, so it needs an infrastructure, it needs a database, it needs a different servers. Okay, based on these connections only the software will work. So that entire thing is handled by your SAP basis. So again, SAP basis is a module of SAP wherein we have the technical person working. So okay, and the last one is development area. So what is this development area responsible? Now, as we all know, every software has its own codings, like own languages. Say C++, Java, Oracle. These are different languages. Similarly, for SAP, the language which is used is ABAP. The language is called as ABAP. So that's the language which is used for ABAP. Now, used for SAP. Sorry. So for that, we have technical consultants who work and who are known as SAP ABAP consultants. So that is again a module. So we have technical persons who are specialized in writing those codes and writing in the language which SAP understands, and that language is ABAP. Similarly, we have developers also who work on different codes. Say, for example, SAP gave a standard code that, okay, this is the way you have to post the say sales order, or say this is the way this is a standard way you have to record the entry. But now the customer, when I say the customer, that means the client who is using SAP wants that his screen should look something different. He doesn't want to use the traditional SAP screen, or he wants that there should be some changes as per his requirement, as per his business requirement. So that changes or customization can be done by making the change in the ABAP code. And for that purpose, we need ABAPers or SAP ABAP module. So that's the development area of that. So we have divided the SAP, what I can say, the the SAP as a whole into three different areas. One is your application area, which deals with your functional aspect, like you have your O2C, P2P, FICO. All these things are your functional area, which are defined on the basis of your business functionalities. Then you have the infrastructure area. That is, in order to run this software, you need infrastructure, a strong infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, that means the servers, that means the landscape. All these things are needed, which are handled by your basis team. And the last one is development area, which looks after the coding part of the SAP as a software. So in all these areas are the different scope areas where we can find immense job opportunities. Like you can be an SAP functional consultant, you can be an SAP technical consultant who works in the area of SAP basis, you can be a technical consultant who works in the SAP ABAP module. So these are the different areas where you can explore your job opportunities. Now, so as discussed earlier, these are the different modules written here, like SAP Sales and Distribution. So traditionally, it was called as Sales and Distribution. Now, SAP has come up with a new nomenclature. SAP Sales and Distribution is now known as SAP O2C, that is Order to Cash. Similarly, SAP Material Management is now known as SAP P2P, that is Procure to Pay. Finance and controlling is known as FTM nowadays, means finance to manage. Okay. Similarly, production planning is known as D2S. Project system, these are different modules of SAP which one can specialize, and they can, throughout their career, they can work and get specialized in these different areas. You have SAP Human Resource Management for managing your HR and payroll aspects. You have technical modules like this: SAP ABAP, SAP NetWeaver Basis, SAP Enterprise Portal. What is this Enterprise Portal? So let's say, let's say you all might have seen the IRCTC website. Okay, so when you log into the IRCTC website, you see a different front page. So that is an portal. Actually, that is a portal, user portal, wherein the user log in and they, they are able to book the tickets. But behind that interface, there is a standard SAP system working. So that the screen which you see on upfront, the IRCTC website, and once you log into the website and then you start using that, or you start using that page is itself known as an interface, and that interface connects you to the backend SAP system. So for that, we have specialized consultants who work in designing those enterprise portals. They work in defining that interface, and based on that interface, we can be able to use SAP. Okay. Similarly, SAP PIPO, SAP BIBW. BIBW is Business Intelligence and Business Warehouse, which is more responsible for generating your reports, the management-oriented reports. Whatever reports the management require can be generated from this module, SAP BIBW. Similarly, the last one is SAP Fiori. SAP Fiori is a turnaround case right now. So nowadays we have this trend going on that for everything we have an app. Like if you use a mobile, you will find apps for everything. So similarly, SAP also came in with this advancement. What they did, they created SAP Fiori. Fiori is nothing but on-the-go web apps. Like for logging into any software, you need to be connected in the office network. You need to be having the office system or the connected system. The secure private network should be there. All these things were required. But with the introduction of SAP Fiori, what SAP did, they have enabled it web-based. Now you can access SAP, the transaction codes of SAP from your mobile, from your MacBook, from your Android phones. You can use this SAP, but only thing is you must have the proper authorization and connection. Then you will be able to use on the go. Okay, so that's made usable by introducing SAP Fiori. So that's a quick discussion about different modules. Now let's go into the financial accounting part. That is the core component that we want to discuss today. So first of all, let me make you assure that SAP FICO is such a module wherein there is no looking back. Once you are trained, once you become pro or trained in this module, then your market is open. You can go and explore. There are different areas wherein you can explore and different roles which you can perform. So when I say FICO, FICO stands for Finance and Control. Finance means it's basically two modules, SAP FI and SAP CO. SAP FI is SAP Financials, SAP CO is SAP Control. What's the difference between them? SAP FI is a module which is responsible for recording of all your business transactions, for generating your financial statements. When I say financial statement, that means your profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statement, funds flow statement, all those financial requirements are met by your SAP FI module. Okay. The external reporting requirement is met by SAP FI module. And what is this SAP CO? SAP CO is your controlling module which meets the reporting requirement of your management. Let me give you an example. Suppose, as per the Companies Act or as per the Income Tax Act, in fact your stakeholders, means your shareholders, want to know the profitability of the company. And in order to judge the profitability of the company, they will need to get the balance sheet, profit and loss statement presented to them. So that requirement, and in order to prepare your balance sheet and profit and loss statement, you need to post the accounting entries. You need to analyze those accounting entries, and finally, based on your all the past transactions that you have done or recorded in the past financial year, based on that, you will prepare at the end of 31st March, you will prepare your financial statements, that is your profit and loss and balance sheet. Based on that, the shareholders will get to know what is their what is their share worth, what is their profitability, how much dividend will they get, what is the entire profit of the company. All these information will be given by the profit and loss and balance sheet. Now, coming to the second aspect, management wants to know that, suppose the management has three plants, one in Gujarat, one in Ahmedabad, one in Gujarat, one in Kerala, and one in say West Bengal. Now, the collective profit of the plant in Gujarat and plant in Kerala is 200 crores, but the plant in West Bengal is having a loss of say 1 crore. If you take up the profit and loss statement, you will see that the company is in total 199 crores profit, but because of loss in the plant which is located in West Bengal, the company is losing 1 crore. So this decision that the management would like to make can be based on the reports which are generated from controlling module. The controlling module will give the insights to the management that, okay, you have three plants. Out of those three plants, two are making profit, one is in loss. So now you have to make the analysis and you have to make the decision whether you want to continue with the plant that is making loss. If you stop that plant, then you will stop the loss of 1 crore, and this will lead to increase in profit by 1 crore. So that's the decision. Now, this decision can be made based on the information provided by the controlling area. The controlling area provides all the tracking and all the cost related information based on your cost centers, profit centers, segments, your products. Based on all these, the most granular level, you can generate your cost statements and analyze that whether to take decision to continue the business or not. Your minute to minute decision making requirement is fulfilled by your controlling SAP controlling module. Okay. Now, SAP FI is made up of sub modules. The sub modules that are often used are general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, asset management, taxes on sales and purchase, cash transaction, bank transaction. So basically, whatever things you can imagine for a business, all those things are present in SAP. Say for example, for a business, there will be vendors from whom the company purchases goods, from whom the company does transactions. So for that, in order to tackle that, we have the accounts payable module. Similarly, in order to tackle the customers, we have when I say tackle, that doesn't mean that I'm talking about how to have the relationship with the customer. No, the maintenance of the master data of the customer, what all transactions has been incurred with the customer, how much payment has been received from the customer, what are their due date analysis, how much open items are there from the customers. All these informations can be, all these things can be derived from your accounts receivable module. Similarly, let's go on talking about the different sub-modules of SAP. So the first one is general ledger accounting. General ledger accounting is basically, let me give you a very simple example. When you, all those present here, those who are from the commerce background, they can very well relate. Those who are not, but still you can understand in business language that whenever a business is there, the transaction needs to be recorded. It's suppose you make a salary to if you make a payment of salary to your employees, that transaction has to be recorded. You have to, put that as an expense, salary expense, say 1 lakh, 1 lakh per month. or 1.5 lakh per month. So you need to record these transactions. Now, where does this recording happen? Earlier, what we used to do, we used to record them in registers. There were registers where the accountant used to pass the journal entries. But now that is not the trend. The trend is everything has been computerized. So what we do in SAP, we record those transactions using the general ledger accounting. So general ledger accounting is a submodule of SAP FI, wherein all the business transactions are recorded. And the master data of GL accounts are maintained. The list of GL accounts is maintained. Your transactions are posted. Your reports, your financial statements, everything gets generated from your general ledger accounting module. So when we will be going through the SAP FICO course, we will go through the general ledger accounting submodule as well. Next, accounts payable. So accounts payable is what? Accounts payable is the submodule which is responsible for the point one, creation of the master data of vendors. Now, let me ask this question. Whenever you do a transaction with, say, whenever you have a purchase transaction with a vendor, so you will, write down the details of that vendor. What is the vendor name? What is his address? What is his email ID? What is his phone number? What is his bank account? So that you can make him payment through bank, banking transactions, through electronic banking transaction, NEFT or whatnot. So for that, you need this data. This data in SAP terminology is known as SAP vendor master data. So all these things are recorded in your accounts payable submodule. Here, the vendor master data are created, the transactions related to the vendor are posted, the payments related to the vendor are posted, what all outstanding of the vendor is there, that all information is generated from your accounts payable module. Okay. Talking into the next, this is the process flow overview. Yeah. So financial accounting, and you have the accounts payable submodule. Financial accounting is the main module, and below that you have the accounts payable submodule. In that, these are the steps that we perform normally. The main header categories. You will have the master data of the vendor created. Then you have all your invoice processing. That whatever purchase transaction you do with your vendor, they are posted. Finally, the payment is made, payment and disbursement. And after that, we also do the analysis, like how much is outstanding to a vendor, for how many days it has been outstanding. All these things are analyzed and reconciliation is done. And lastly, we have the periodic processing, wherein periodic clearing is done. Say, for example, you purchase goods from the vendor throughout the month, and at the month end you make a final clearing to the vendor. So all those periodic processing is done in this stage. And lastly, you generate reports, like vendor reports. What is the outstanding? How much transaction has been performed with this particular vendor? What is the turnover ratio, like in how many days you get confirmation from the vendor, how the vendor is performing, whether he is giving us proper discounts or not. All those reports can be generated in your reporting part. Moving on to the accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is similar to vendors, accounts payable, but the only thing is here we do all the things related to customer. The customer master data is maintained. All the transaction processing with the customer is done in this module. All the reports related to the customers are generated in this module. Then the final layout, like which customer is outstanding for quite some time, who are the bad debts, what is the extent of bad debts. All these things can be analyzed in the accounts receivable part. And trust me, guys, most of the things are automated. You just have to maintain the configuration, the master data, and the things gets working. It gets started. Okay. The same way as accounts payable was explained, similarly in accounts receivable, we have the same thing. There is a master data, there is a credit management. Credit management is what? Credit management is how much credit we want to give to a customer, or whether the customer is utilizing the credit limit properly or not, whether the customer is making the payment in time, payment within the credit time period or not. All these things are analyzed in your credit management area. Then the invoice posting related to the customer is done. Then payments from the cash receipts, when the customer makes payments to you, those transactions get recorded. The payment transaction get recorded. The clearing, the open item of the customer is cleared. All these things are done in this step. Finally, we do the account analysis. Account analysis means the customer turnover ratio, in how many days your sales turnover is happening, your payment is coming back to you. All these things are analyzed here. Finally, we have the periodic processing, and the last one is reporting, wherein you generate different reports to support your accounts receivable process. Okay. Then finally, so now let's talk about asset management. What is that? Simple. Every business has GL accounting. As we know, they will record transaction. Every business has accounts payable. Every business has accounts receivable. Similarly, every business will have assets also. Some business may have lot many assets. Some may have very few assets like furnitures and fixtures, but some may have huge plants, some may have huge buildings, some may have huge processing units. So when this when the things become quite big, when you have say 10 plants throughout the country, then it becomes literally tough to manage them in a small software. You need a big software which is integrated with all other modules. Say for example, you purchased say a machinery from a vendor. So in this case, the transaction will be machinery account debit to your vendor account. So there are two modules coming in here. One is accounts payable for your vendor, and one is asset management for your machinery. Now these two modules should be integrated. Otherwise, there will be issues. There will be issues in the sense you will lack information. Now, suppose for vendor management, you are using one software, and for asset management, you are using another software. So there will be problem in integrating them. There will be problem in the transaction flow. There will be problem in the transaction recording. SAP removes all this. So SAP has its own asset management module, and SAP has its own accounts payable module, and it can be very well integrated. In asset management module, starting from creation of your master data. When I say creation of master data, that means you have the asset with you, physical asset is present, but you need to keep the record of that in your ERP system. Then only you can, post values to the asset, you can charge depreciation to the asset, you can keep a track of the progress of this asset. All these things can be done in your SAP asset accounting module. Here, you will maintain the master data of the asset. You will post depreciation, you will post scrap sales, you will post acquisitions to the asset. All these business transactions which you actually do with an asset can be recorded and posted in your asset management module, that is SAP asset management. Now, yeah, so this is a brief diagram which we have presented here. So it goes from bottom up. So you need to see here, you first create asset master records. These asset master records, say if you have 4 furnitures, those furnitures will be grouped together under one asset class. So if you see asset class furniture and fixtures, so asset class basically means group of assets. So furniture and fixtures, it will have all the furnitures and fixtures listed under it. Say machines, it will have all the machinery listed under it. Vehicles, it will have all the vehicles listed under it. So these are known as asset class. These asset class are connected to your GL accounts, and GL account finally lands in your balance sheet. So that's how your flow happens. You will create asset master data in asset accounting. This asset master data will be linked with asset class. The asset class will be linked with the GL module, because asset class will be means that linking we will create in SAP. Once that linking is created, all the values of these assets, whatever assets you have, the values will finally get reflected in your asset side in your balance sheet. Okay, so that's how the integration happens. Now, other than this, we have some other modules, like we have the bank accounting, we have cash management, we have nowadays FSCM is also there, financial supply chain management, which entirely takes care of your credit management part. Okay, so the moment you start that module is so much advanced, so much linked with other third-party vendors, that the moment you start transaction with a particular customer, you can get credit reports of the customer. What is the past performance of that customer? Which all agencies have marked this customer as blocked or block out, or the customer has been committing frauds, or missing his payment deadlines. All these information can be extracted and they can be used in your SAP FSCM module. So my whole purpose is, SAP FICO is a big module. SAP FI itself has various sub-modules which we have talked about, like general ledger accounting, accounts payable, accounts receivable, bank accounting. You have cash management, you have treasury management. All these things are there. So you can specialize in any of these areas. Now, coming to the second part, that is controlling. So controlling, as I gave you an example, controlling is basically your is the module which meets the reporting requirement of your management. It can provide the management with the most granular level of reporting. If the management wants to understand that I have a plant in West Bengal, this plant is making a loss, then the management would want to understand why this plant is making loss. It will see its plant figures, it will see its actual figures, and try to find out what are the variances, why these variances have occurred. Is it because of poor purchasing, or is it because of poor marketing, or is it because of extra transportation cost, or whatnot? So you can analyze. The management will get all those reports to analyze, to understand why that particular plant is making loss. That particular requirement can be met with your controlling area. So controlling area can provide you cost reports to the most granular level. When I say most granular, means to the most basic point where the cost has actually incurred. Okay? And it is mostly for your management reporting purpose. Here, there is no external reporting. It's not required. Controlling is not mandatory, but yes, management needs it. So if you see, these are the features here. SAP controlling module is needed for internal management reporting, point one. Data flows from FI module. See, what does this mean, data flows from FI module? This means your transactions are still recorded in FI area, but after recording those transactions in your FI area, those transactions are also reflected in your control area. When you want to make decisions, you need information. And that information is nothing but whatever transactions you record in your FI area. So that's why it's a data flows from FI module. Supports report generation by cost centers, profit centers. So what are these cost centers and profit centers? Very simple example. Cost centers are all those units in the organization which incur only cost. For example, when you work in a company, there is a cafeteria in the company. It's where the employees go and have coffee, snacks, and all these things free of cost. In that particular cafeteria, there is no profit. There is only cost incurred by the company. So those are known as cost centers. Similarly, you have profit centers. Similarly, you have profit centers. Now, what are these profit centers? These profit centers are the ones where both cost and revenue are incurred. For example, let's say one of your product. So when you manufacture your manufacturing unit where you manufacture the product, that product is being sold into the market, so that gets you revenue. And in order to manufacture that product, you incur cost, you incur raw material cost, you incur in electricity expenses, you incur factory rents, all these costs are incurred. So the units where both revenue and cost are incurred are known as your profit centers. So these are various sub-modules in the controlling area, like cost center accounting, you have profit center accounting, you have product cost controlling. In fact, in product cost controlling, you can keep a track of the cost of production of your product, starting from purchasing of the raw material which is utilized for that product, to the charging of overhead cost, to the charging of factory cost, to the charging of labor cost. Everything can be tracked in the product cost controlling module, and there you can actually analyze what should be the cost of your product. Same way, you have activity-based costing, variance monitoring and control, product profitability. These are the different sub-modules which fall under the head controlling. In fact, you can specialize in any of these areas. So that's, there's wide scope. Means till now we have seen around some 14 modules wherein one can specialize. So there's enough scope of work. So this is a quick idea about like cost center accounting provides cost center wise information on the cost incurred by the business. Examples like salaries paid to IT department employees, travel expenses paid to sales department employees. You can track the cost to the most lowest level. Like have big breakup to the most lowest level. The internal order is again a cost object, which is where the costs are posted, and you can track the cost. And after all, once the costs are posted to the internal order, this cost will be distributed against different cost centers. Then you have the profit center accounting. I've already discussed this. Then you have profitability analysis. Profitability analysis is the module which helps you to analyze the profit based on your different segments. Okay, segments in the sense as per Indian accounting standard. Like if I remember it correctly, it's AS 15. I think. Yeah, revenue accounting, where we have we have to do segment reporting, where we have to do the reporting as per each segment of the company. So that particular requirement is met by your profitability analysis module. Then yeah, that's the quick idea about all the different modules that we are going to cover. Then learning journey in S4 HANA Finance course. So once I gave you an idea of different modules that we are going to cover, or the different modules that are there in SAP FICO, now here is the top. Here are the different topics, or here are the different course contents that we will provide you from as part of Oswego learning. What you will be getting, you will get SAP S4 HANA overview topics, like you will go through these different modules are there. You can have trainings on accounting, you can have logistic training, that is your P2P, human capital management, embedded analytics, SAP activate and best practices. This is one of the methodology, implementation methodology, SAP services. There will be an overview session covering all these parts. Okay, then once we start with SAP FICO course, in SAP FICO course, we will focus on three core areas. First part will be, while going through the course, the focus will be on concepts. We need to understand, before doing anything, we need to understand the concepts. Once we are ready with the concept, then we will walk you through the configurations or the setups which are to be done in SAP, so that you will be able to use SAP system. That is the second part, configurations, and the third is actual hands-on that we will do. So these are the three focus areas at the time when we deliver the training. At the time of delivering training, these will be the topics which will be covered: enterprise structure, creation of company code, functional area, business area, financial accounting, global settings, fiscal year variant. All these topics will be covered. Then we will cover the new general ledger concept also. Uh, then we will go through the accounts receivable and accounts payable module, wherein again the focus will be on concept, configuration, and business process. Last, we will cover the asset part, where again we will start from creation of the asset master data, finally to the scrapping of the asset. That entire cycle means you will purchase the asset, you will create the asset, you will post values to the asset, you will charge depreciation to the asset, you will do scrapping of the asset, and finally till the dismissal of the asset. The entire asset accounting part will be covered. Then lastly, we will talk about the controlling area, how the different cost objects are maintained, what are the controlling master data, what is controlling area. All these topics will be covered in the SAP FCO module training. Then finally, we have the cost estimation. That is again, it will touch base with your product costing and how things work. And lastly, we will have the financial statement version. That is, at the year end, the ultimate objective was to generate the financial statements. Those financial statements will be generated in your financial statement versions. So that's a brief idea about what course we are going to cover, what are the different topics. The focus will be on concepts, configuration, and hands-on. When I say hands-on, that means you will be made to work on the live SAP system, use the SAP system and do the posting, do the transaction, do the configurations, and you will be, you will get yourself acquainted with the SAP ERP software. Now, once you complete the course, now comes what role you can, select for yourself. You can be SAP consultant, you can be a super user, you can work as an SAP end user. Now, what is SAP functional consultant role? The functional consultant role is, for example, one of the company is already using SAP. Okay, they are, they have started using SAP software. They are running their business using SAP software, but SAP comes up with changes. There are, they may face some issue. They are not able to post transaction, or they are missing an understanding related to a particular business process, how to tackle that in SAP. So for that purpose, the SAP functional consultants are there. The functional consultants are the one who have wide knowledge of the SAP business process. Means first they have wide knowledge of the business process. Let's say I'm a FICO consultant. I have a good hold or good understanding of how business happens. Okay, the different business processes that happens in the organization. So based on that, I will help them to use SAP. Means how those business process can be tackled or can be handled using SAP. So I will be helping them. I will help them to resolve their issues, to make their understanding clear about the concept. So these things can be done by an SAP functional consultant. The SAP functional consultant will again have two types of further subdivision. What they can they can work on implementation projects, they can work on support projects. What are implementation projects? Implementation projects are nothing but wherein the company or the business is using the SAP for the first time. They are going to install SAP and they are going to map their business as per SAP, and they are going to use SAP for their business. That kind of projects are known as implementation project, where the functional consultant has to understand the business requirement from the client, and based on that he has to do the configuration in SAP, so that the business will be able to use SAP software. Support projects, wherein the company is already using SAP, but they need someone who can provide them support. Like, if they face any errors, if they face any issues in using SAP, or some sort of that kind of error, then we are there to help them and to make them understand. SAP super users or power users have better knowledge about SAP system and can support end users on minor issues and transactions. So this is what, once you are trained in SAP and you have got some experience in using SAP FICO module, then you can work as an SAP super user also. So what will happen? The person who is using SAP for just posting accounts payable transaction or posting accounts receivable transaction, he doesn't have in-depth knowledge of the configurations they are running behind the system. Okay, how the vendor master data is created, how that particular vendor is getting a credit period of 30 days, why he is getting the credit period of 30 days. All those configuration setup is not known to these end users. So what the super users do, Whenever the end users face some minor issues or face some trouble in executing the transaction, then these super users provide them help. If the super users are not able to solve the issue, or if they are not able to provide the help, then the who comes up front, the SAP functional consultant comes up, and then he helps the end users to do that. And end users, as I said, the ones which are using SAP to post the transaction, day-to-day business transactions, like posting of general GL transaction, posting of accounts payable transactions. All these things are done by SAP end users. So these are the basic, high-level roles which can be assigned after, which you can take up after your training, or after you get acquainted with the SAP FICO. This is like a prospective course idea. The course will normally be 3 to 4 months. The course will extend, wherein we will provide you an overview of the system, SAP system. We will then thereafter we will take you through the in-depth knowledge of individual modules. Say if you opt for SAP FICO, then we will take you through how the configuration happens, what are the business processes, what are the configurations required for these business processes, and how actually these things work in the system. So we will walk you through that. There will be weekly classes, mostly on Saturday and Sunday. The classes may be of around 3 hours to 4 hours on weekdays, on weekends. And right now we are going on with the online classes, but we have plans for offline classes as well, means the classroom-based classes. And once your classes are over, you will get online project support, wherein you will get good hands-on to work on an ongoing project, so that you actually get the look and feel how the project works, and you get the look and feel of the implementation project. So that kind of environment will be provided to you. And whosoever is your FICO, or for that matter, whosoever will be your trainer, they have quite a lot of experience, industry experience. They must have worked on support, implementation projects, and all these things. So they have quite a lot of business exposure. So they will be training you. Let's just talk about quickly.
Hello.
What are the learning advantage that you will get from Oswego as an institution? First of all, you will get expert career counseling. Career counseling in the sense, whenever a participant approaches Oswego Learning, first of all tries to understand what is the current status of that particular participant. Is he already into SAP, or what career aspects he or she wants to focus on? And based on that, we provide the counseling, and which module which will be applicable for them, or which will be best suited for them. That is also, we walk them through that aspect, and then we allow them to take the decision. Our training methodology is well defined. As I said, the focus is on concept, then the configuration, and then the business system execution. So that's how we focus on the training. And we are not hardbound that this time you have to attend the class, and there will be no repetition of the class. The classes gets recorded. The participants can anytime they can access those class again and again to view what was being taught and how the things were taught. Then we also provide with training material. The training material is itself the SAP books which are published by SAP, the original content that is being provided. After the training, you will have project work experience, wherein you will be put into a project to feel like a real work-like environment. We have professional grooming, CV preparation. Our team will be helping you in that. And one more important thing, certification help. Nowadays, companies are preferring all those candidates who have SAP certification. So what is this SAP certification? SAP certification is, you have to appear for an exam which is conducted by the SAP itself. Okay, and once you pass their exam, you get certified. And the companies nowadays, they are preferring consultants who are certified. Okay, so in order to get certified, you need to prepare for it, and our organizations helps the participants and the students to get prepared for the certification exam. After your training and project work is done, we will provide help in mock interviews. Then there is a placement cell who looks after helping the participants to get placed in different organizations. So these are quite some benefits which are provided by our organization. These are the courses which are offered. Like, you can have full functional courses on SAP sales and distribution, material management, finance and controlling, production planning, project systems, human resource management. We have a technical course on SAP ABAP, SAP ABAP on HANA, BASIS, PIPO, SAP Fiori technical course. All these courses are available based on the candidate's skill, based on his educational qualification, and based on the career counseling session that we have with a participant. You can select any of these courses. This we have already talked about, expert career counseling. There is a we have a team, designated team, who first of all interacts with the participants. Our objective is not just that the participant should come in and they should take admission and start the course. No, we first understand what's the requirement of the customer. What's the requirement of the participant? Which course is best suited for them, and based on that we advise them, and then it's the final decision of the participant to select the course. These are the quick training methodology. We have experienced trainers, experienced teachers or trainers, those who train the participants. They are well versed in both Hindi and English. And based on the batch requirement, the batches are normally of 3 to 4 participants. We don't have huge batches. We keep the batches short in the sense we keep less number of participants in one batch, so that the doubt clearance and the actual system execution it becomes easy if the batch is small. And the trainer can also focus on each of the participants if the batch is small. All our students who complete the course need to go through the mandatory project work. That is again mandatory for to get you exposed to project work life. Then we provide hands-on training. Hands-on training means you will have access to the SAP system. Most of the training institutes right now, they do not have access to the training server. They do not have server access, but we do have. We have in fact 3-4 servers wherein the participants can practice. And there is knowledge interaction group. Knowledge interaction group is where the participants can post their queries. They can discuss with the other co-participants like what all doubts they have, and they can start exchanging their views and thoughts. This is about like training materials. We have PPTs available. We have study books available. There are interview questions also, which will be shared at the end of the batch or at the end of the training, which will be shared with the participants. We have business blueprint document. This is, business blueprint document is basically used in implementation projects, wherein after discussion with the client or after discussion with the customer, we prepare the documentation. Based on the documentation, the configurations and all those things are. So we will give you an example of business blueprint document. Those will be shared. And at the time when you work on projects like the live projects, there we will give the look and feel of actual errors coming from the customers in the sense the clients who are using SAP, and then you have to work on those errors to resolve those issues and help the customers. So that's kind of training material that we provide. These are some more additional advantage that you will be getting from Oswego Learning, like professional grooming. Since we have the trainers and in fact the management, they all are from IT. They all have quite a lot of IT exposure. So that professional grooming and things like that can be worked. We will be helping you to prepare your CVs, your resumes. And at the end of the training, we will have mock interview sessions where there will be a panel sitting. They will ask you questions. You have to explain them the questions so that you get yourself prepared for the interviews coming up. And yes, this placement assistance facility is also there. We help our participants to get placed in different companies. These are, we have placement assistance cells who keeps on working wherever there are opportunities to place the participants who get trained from our institute. We help them to appear for these interviews. We help them to prepare for these interviews, and they get placed in these companies. There are several others in the line. And this is like Oswego Professional Network. All students joining us will be part of Oswego Professional Network for lifetime. This means that once we are there, all those participants who are passing out of the institute and they are getting placed into they will be well connected in the professional network. You can post your queries. You can connect with them in order to put yourself into different interviews, to get prepared for the interviews, for sharing of job opportunities. All these things will be available in this thing, Oswego Professional Network. So that's basically how the training will progress. And we talked about what is SAP. We talked about what is the different modules of SAP. We talked about SAP FICO as a core module, how the business opportunity, how the career opportunity is there. Trust me, guys, there is enormous opportunities. I have been in this place for around 10 plus years now, and still I see a lot of future available. There will be a lot of job opportunities. Like in the recent pandemic also, I hardly found any FICO consultant getting trenched from the job. I hardly found, because it's a core module. Everybody needs it. It has to be there. No company can get away with without having the finance department. So SAP FICO module will be there. Once you get trained, once you are trained, you are good in your SAP FICO work. You are good in communication. You are good in your interviews. You will definitely have jobs in it. So that's the whole objective. of going through this. We have gone through the different submodules of SAP FICO, and now the floor is open. If anyone has any question, they may go ahead and ask.
Yes, thank you so much for the nice session and nice presentation. Yes, there is a lot of opportunities. Previously, it was ECC, and in the ECC, it was FICO module. And last for 5 to 6 years, SAP has come up with the simple finance concept, and there is a lot of changes in the market. So there is a lot of opportunities coming up. So you tune up with us. In the next week also we will come up with some other module. So you follow us in different channels like Facebook pages. You can follow up us in Instagram pages. You can follow us in YouTube channels. That every week after the completion of this session we upload the same in the Facebook channel, sorry, in that YouTube channel. So you can follow us there also. And next week we will come up with some other module. Thank you so much for the nice session.
If anyone has any queries, they can
Any
contact
queries?
this
Yes,
number, Arya Goa. They can contact.
definitely. Definitely. Anyone is having any queries, any doubts? You can ask Mr. Somo sir. I think no one is having any queries, no doubts. So we can wrap up the session today. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.